Greetings, everyone. Today's tale will leave you stunned, and if you find it compelling, please consider subscribing. The channel's been a bit quiet lately, but your support keeps it alive. Let's get started. I'm a 32-year-old man who never thought I'd be sharing a story like this. But I'm at my breaking point and need advice on handling a situation with my sister, Lena, a 30-year-old woman, that has spiraled completely out of control. For context, I'm a software engineer and purchased my Chicago condo 3 years ago. It's not extravagant, but it's a stylish 2-bedroom place with modern decor, a stunning city view, and great amenities. I worked tirelessly to afford it, saving for years for the down payment, and I'm proud of what I've achieved. Lena, on the other hand, has always struggled with consistency. She's switched jobs often, never staying longer than a year, and currently works part-time at a boutique while trying to build her influencer career. She rents a small studio apartment across town with a roommate. Despite our different paths, we've always been close, and I've tried to support her without endorsing her unwise financial choices. About 4 months ago, Lena asked to borrow my spare key to pick up a package for me while I was at work. I didn't think much of it. She's my sister, after all. She retrieved the package, texted me to confirm, and that seemed to be the end of it. Or so I believed. The first incident happened about 6 weeks ago. I was working from home on a Friday when my doorbell rang. At the door was a man I didn't know, dressed for a date in a sharp shirt, cologne wafting from him, and holding a bottle of wine. "Hey," he said, confused. "Is Lena here? She told me to come to her place." I explained that Lena didn't live here, and this was my condo. He looked baffled, showing me texts from Lena with my address and apartment number, instructing him to arrive at 7 p.m. for dinner at her home. I called Lena immediately. She dismissed it, saying she was running late and had him meet her there because it was closer to their restaurant. She claimed she'd mentioned it was her brother's place, but he must have misunderstood. Her explanation felt off, but I let it slide. 2 weeks later, it happened again. I was coming back from the gym on a Saturday morning when I found a stranger trying to unlock my door with a key. When I asked what he was doing, he said Lena gave him a spare key to her place because she was in the shower and told him to let himself in. I was floored. Not only had Lena made a copy of my key without my permission, but she was giving it to random men she was dating. After showing the guy my ID and proof of ownership, he was mortified. He said they'd been dating for 2 weeks, and Lena had bragged about her amazing apartment, inviting him for dinner there. This time, when I confronted Lena, I was livid. She brushed it off again, claiming she gave him the key because she was delayed and didn't want him waiting outside. When I demanded she return my spare key and any copies, she got defensive. "Jake, why are you so uptight?" she snapped. "I'm not hosting wild parties. I just borrowed your place a few times. You're barely home anyway." That's when the full truth came out. Lena admitted she'd been telling dates she lived in my condo because she was embarrassed about her own situation. She called it a harmless fib to make a good first impression, saying once guys knew her, they wouldn't care about her real home. I was furious. I told her this was a massive breach of my privacy and trust. I demanded all keys back and banned her from my condo unless I was there. She called me selfish, accused me of being jealous of her dating life, and hung up. I changed my locks that day, thinking it was over. But over the next month, 3 more men showed up at my place, all looking for Lena. Each had a similar story. They'd been dating her for a few weeks, she'd boasted about her fantastic apartment, and either gave them my address or told them to meet her there. The most recent incident was yesterday, prompting this post. A man arrived with a suitcase and 2 boxes. When I opened the door, he smiled and said, "You must be Lena's roommate." I'm Caleb, and she said I could start moving in today. I was speechless. He thought he was moving into my condo because Lena told him they were taking their relationship to the next level and he could live with her. When I explained the truth, Caleb didn't believe me at first. He showed me weeks of texts where Lena described my condo as hers and expressed excitement about him moving in. The poor guy was devastated when I showed him my lease, my mail, and photos of me in the condo over the years. He'd given up his previous apartment because Lena convinced him they were moving in together. He tried calling her, but she didn't answer. He left, dragging his suitcase, looking utterly defeated. I've been calling and texting Lena all day, but she's ignored me. Our mom says Lena told her I'm controlling, jealous, and trying to sabotage her happiness. Some family members have contacted me, saying Lena's upset that I'm not supporting her and I should be more understanding of her struggles. I'm at a loss. I love my sister, but this has gone too far. She's not only deceiving these men, but also putting my safety at risk by giving strangers my address and telling them they can enter my home. Plus, her lies are ruining these guys' lives. Caleb had to scramble to find a new place after giving up his apartment. Am I overreacting? How do I handle this when she won't talk to me and has turned family against me? I'm considering a cease and desist letter, but it feels extreme for my own sister. Has anyone dealt with something like this? Update 1. 1 week later. Thank you all for your comments on my first post. They helped me see I'm not crazy, and that this situation is as serious as I thought. I especially appreciated those who highlighted safety and legal risks I hadn't fully considered. A lot has happened since my last post, and sadly things have gotten worse. Since Lena kept ignoring my calls and texts, I decided to talk to our mom directly and share my side. I showed her screenshots of texts from Caleb where Lena clearly implied my condo was hers. Mom was shocked and admitted Lena's version was very different. She'd told Mom I was jealous of her dating success and trying to humiliate her in front of her boyfriends. Mom agreed to mediate a conversation. We met at our parents' house 3 days after my post. I hoped for a mature discussion about boundaries and respect. Instead, Lena came in accusing me of trying to ruin her life. Her defense was staggering. She said dating in Chicago was tough with her living situation, so she was just using my condo's address to even the playing field. She claimed successful women she knew had nice homes, and it was unfair she had to compete while living in a crummy apartment. When I brought up Caleb trying to move in, she laughed, saying it wasn't her fault he jumped the gun and that she'd have told him the truth eventually. When I asked when she planned to be honest with these men, she couldn't give a straight answer. The talk went downhill from there. Lena accused me of being privileged and selfish, not understanding how hard it is to date as a woman in her 30s. She claimed I had everything handed to me, which isn't true. I worked 2 jobs in college and lived frugally to afford my condo. I tried to stay calm, reiterating that she was violating my privacy, endangering me, and deceiving innocent people. Her response? I'm not hurting anyone. These guys get to date me, don't they? That should be enough. Mom, to her credit, was appalled and backed me up. This made Lena furious. She stormed out, yelling, "Fine, I won't use your precious condo anymore, but if I end up alone because I can't compete with other women, that's on you." I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, my building's management called, asking why I'd had so many visitors lately and reminding me that subletting wasn't allowed without approval. Apparently, one of Lena's men had buzzed random apartments when I didn't answer, claiming he was staying with his girlfriend who lived there. Another had argued with the doorman, insisting he was on my guest list. I had to explain the whole mess to management. They were sympathetic, but warned that further incidents could violate my lease. I gave them Lena's photo for security and barred her from entering. Then the worst happened. A woman named Jasmine, Caleb's sister, messaged me on Facebook. She said Caleb was heartbroken and wanted to warn me that Lena had done this before, using friends' apartments or even her own to pretend she lived somewhere nicer. Jasmine also said Caleb was considering small claims court for the costs he incurred breaking his lease and finding emergency housing. She asked if I'd provide a statement about what happened. I agreed, though I'm unsure if Caleb will proceed. Lena's been posting a different story online, sharing vague posts about toxic family trying to ruin her happiness. Her friends are supporting her, unaware of the truth. Our family is now divided. Some think I should have let Lena use my condo occasionally to help her, while others are appalled by her actions. My dad, who was away during the initial drama, fully supports me and told Lena to grow up and take responsibility. I've decided to send a cease and desist letter, drafted with help from a lawyer friend, stating that any further use of my address or misrepresentation of my condo as hers will lead to legal action. I also installed a Ring doorbell to document any future incidents. I can't believe it's come to this. Part of me feels guilty because Lena clearly has deeper issues with self-esteem and image, but I can't keep enabling her, especially when it's harming others like Caleb. I'll update if anything major happens, but I hope the letter ends it. Update 2. 3 weeks later, I thought I was done updating, but things with Lena have gotten wilder. After sending the cease and desist letter, Lena went silent for nearly 2 weeks. No social media, no family contact, nothing. I wondered if the legal threat had finally sunk in. My parents said she wasn't answering their calls, but Mom saw her car at her apartment, so we knew she was okay. Then, last Monday at 10 p.m., my building's front desk called. Security had detained a man insisting he lived in my condo who got aggressive when denied entry. The police were involved and wanted to talk to me. When I got to the lobby, it was chaos. A well-dressed man in his mid-30s, handcuffed, was ranting about his rights and demanding access to his home. 2 officers were trying to calm him, and security looked rattled. When the man saw me, he shouted, "That's the guy! The scammer squatting in my fiancé's condo. Arrest him!" It took an hour to sort out. The man, Miles, had been dating Lena for a month. Here's the insane part. Lena told him I was her ex-boyfriend who refused to leave her condo after our breakup. She spun a tale that she'd bought the condo, but I tricked her into putting it in my name for tax reasons and was now squatting there. Miles thought he was confronting a shady ex and even offered to hire a lawyer to help Lena evict me. When security stopped him, he thought they were in on it. I showed the police my lease, mortgage documents, and bank statements. Miles slowly realized he'd been lied to, his anger turning to humiliation. Before leaving, he shared more disturbing details. Lena had been staying at his place for 2 weeks, claiming she couldn't go home because I was there. She'd shown him fake texts, somehow fabricated, where I was threatening her and refusing to leave her condo. She'd even texted him that night, crying, saying she tried to get in, but I'd changed the locks again. I gave Miles my contact info and urged him to verify everything Lena told him. He left looking shattered. The next morning, Lena called, furious that I'd humiliated her boyfriend and ruined their relationship. When I pointed out she'd tried to have me arrested and evicted from my own home, she gaslit me, claiming I was exaggerating and she never said those things to Miles. I recorded the call, legal in my state, and told her it was for potential legal action. She hung up. 2 days later, Miles contacted me. He dug into Lena's story and found she'd lied about everything. Her job, she claimed to be a marketing exec, education, she said she had an MBA, and age, she said she was 27. He also learned she was dating at least 2 other men during their exclusive relationship, telling each a different story about her living situation. Miles is now pursuing legal options with Caleb. Lena had borrowed several $1,000s from him for legal fees to fight me for the condo. He's trying to recover it, but Lena has blocked him everywhere. Worse, she's been telling extended family and friends that I'm trying to steal her home. My cousin called, saying she heard I was in financial trouble and taking advantage of Lena. I had to send a mass email with documentation to set the record straight. My parents are heartbroken. They've tried getting Lena into therapy, but she refuses to admit fault. My dad cut off the small financial help he was giving her, hoping it'll force her to face reality. I've hired a real lawyer, not just for the cease and desist, but for potential defamation claims. The lawyer says I have a strong case, but I'm conflicted. She's still my sister. Caleb, Miles, and I found at least 3 other men with similar stories. We're compiling evidence in case anyone pursues legal action. I never imagined it would come to this. Lena's shame about her apartment has turned into what seems like compulsive lying and deception. I still love her, but don't know how to help someone who won't acknowledge their problem. Final update. 2 months later. I debated sharing this final update, but I owe it to those who followed this bizarre saga. This is my last post on the matter. The past 2 months have been eventful, and while I wish I could say it all resolved neatly, life doesn't work that way. First, the legal outcome. Miles filed a small claims case against Lena for the money she borrowed under false pretenses. Caleb opted out, wanting to move on. Two other men came forward. One lent her money for medical bills, another paid for a trip she claimed was to visit her sick mom, but was actually with another man. The court case was a wake-up call. Lena showed up, still trying to spin her lies, but when faced with text messages and payment records, she broke down. The judge ruled in Miles's favor, ordering Lena to repay $3,000 plus court costs. After the hearing, Lena finally admitted she needed help. It wasn't a dramatic epiphany. She just seemed exhausted and quietly asked our parents to find her a therapist. She's been diagnosed with severe anxiety, depression, and what her therapist calls compulsive lying that got out of control. She'd built a fake persona online and in her dating life, and the lies became so complex she couldn't manage them. The condo issue was just the most visible part of a bigger problem. To be clear, mental health struggles don't justify her actions. The men she deceived were real people with real consequences, but understanding the root cause has helped our family move forward. Lena's been in intensive therapy for 6 weeks, coming clean to the men she dated, which was humbling but necessary. She's deleted her dating apps and social media as part of her treatment. She's living with our parents temporarily while stabilizing financially and emotionally. Therapy revealed her issues stemmed partly from comparing herself to others, including me, and feeling like a failure. Her lies started small, exaggerating her job or age, but snowballed into a false reality she felt trapped in. Her therapist says each lie required more to sustain, creating an exhausting cycle she's relieved to escape. Our relationship is strained. I've attended family therapy to process my anger and rebuild trust. I'm not ready to fully let her back into my life, and she respects that. She wrote me a long apology letter, acknowledging the betrayal and danger she caused. It felt sincere, but repairing our bond will take time, if it's even possible. My building management was understanding after I explained the situation was resolved. There have been no further incidents, and my reputation with them is intact. I kept the Ring doorbell for peace of mind. Some positives have emerged. Caleb thanked me for handling things professionally and said he's now more cautious in dating. Miles and I met for coffee. Oddly, we bonded over this strange experience. He's doing well and says it taught him to trust his gut. My parents have been incredible, supporting both Lena and me while setting boundaries. They're attending a support group for families of compulsive liars. Yes, it's common enough for groups to exist. Lena's making amends, repaying Miles and others on a schedule. She's taken a steady call center job, not glamorous but reliable, and is rebuilding her life honestly. Her therapist says she's progressing, but it's a long road. I've learned a lot. I realize my success may have unintentionally fed Lena's insecurities. Not that I'm to blame, but I could have been more attuned to her struggles. I've also learned the importance of firm boundaries, especially with family, and that sometimes the kindest thing is refusing to enable harmful behavior. I still feel angry thinking about the stress, embarrassment, and danger she caused, but I'm working on forgiveness. Not for her, but for myself. If you're facing something similar, document everything, set clear boundaries, and don't feel guilty for protecting yourself. Compulsive liars often have deeper issues, which doesn't mean you tolerate their actions, but can help you understand them. This is my final update. Lena has a long journey ahead, and I have my own life to focus on. We may never regain our old sibling bond, but I hope we can build something new based on honesty and respect. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and support. Your comments made me feel less alone in this bizarre situation. I hope none of you face something like this, but if you do, know you're not crazy or overreacting by protecting yourself and demanding truth. Stay well, everyone.